She goes on to say, as a matter of fact, studies show that no society that has totally embraced homosexuality has lasted more than, a few decades. And this from a teacher. She forgets about Egypt, a culture that lasted for about 5,000 years, or Greece, which lasted 2,000 years, or Rome, which lasted 1,000 years. Not to mention the many nations that embrace homosexuality today, including Canada, Spain, Denmark, Holland, Switzerland, Brazil, and many others. None of them seem to be on the verge of disappearing. This is just plain ignorance. So, she goes on to say, it's the death knell of this country. No, it's the death knell of the rule of ignorance, bigotry, and intolerance. She also says, I honestly think it's the biggest threat even that our nation has, even more so than terrorism or Islam, which I think is a big threat. Okay, well, this isn't gay bashing? It sure as heck is. Actually, she is gashing gays, and Muslims all in one. I mean, it's like a two-for-one deal. Uh, Adolf Hitler said that if you perpetrate an act of terrorism outrageous enough to keep people in a perpetual state of fear, then they will eagerly give up their personal freedoms for a sense of security. And if ever there was a political agenda in the USA, then this is it. It is being actively pursued by people like Sally Kern and her political party to keep us all afraid, to create some pervasive, all encompassing enemy so that we relinquish our rights in a trade off for security. Well, look at recent history. What do you think the Patriot Act is all about? Or the plans for national ID cards, and so many other things. And such plans always need a scapegoat. The Nazis had the Jews, the right wing conservatives have settled upon gays. She goes on to talk about education. Because that's what's happening now, she says. They're going after, in schools, 2-year-olds. You know why they're trying to get early childhood education, according to Sally Kern? They want to get our young children into government schools so they can indoctrinate them. I taught school for close to 20 years and we're not teaching facts and knowledge anymore. Folks, we're teaching indoctrination, okay? Well, this is just ridiculous. This is so disingenuous that it must be refuted. The public school system in America has long since been controlled by the government. Sally Kern herself has pushed and passed legislation in Oklahoma that has dictated just what sort of books can and cannot be used in classrooms and libraries. She has been a major advocate for the teaching of creationism in the classrooms, which means that teachers are supposed to justify the teaching that the world is just 6,000 years old and was created in 7 days. The indoctrination going on today is found in Sunday school and from the preacher's pulpit, which does, in fact, begin at an early age. So if there's any indoctrination going on today, it's by these conservative groups. She went on to say, they're going after our young children as young as 2 years of age to try to teach them that the homosexual lifestyle is an acceptable lifestyle. Well, Sally Kern and her allies are going after our young children by teaching them intolerance, hate, and that some people and religions, according to her own words, are less equal than others. And as a result, hate crimes are now happening at an increasing rate, most recently by children 14 years of age. They're killing one another based on hate. She says, gays are infiltrating city councils. Yes, the very city councils that were formerly the private reserves of right-wing conservatives like Sally Kern, who have since been tossed out of office in the democratic process, the same one that she claims to stand for. She says, do you know Eureka Springs, Arkansas? Anyone been there for the Great Passion Play? A creation truth production? Oh, okay, you have heard that the city council of Eureka Springs is now controlled by gays. Okay, and there were others, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Tacoma, Maryland, Kensington, Maryland, in Vermont, Oregon, West Palm Beach, Florida, and a lot of other places in Florida. What's happening? They are winning elections. Well, last time I checked, America is a democracy, and I know that the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and democratic system might seem to be a hindrance to the plans of right-wing conservatives like her to eliminate and disempower everyone else who is not like them and does not share their beliefs and lifestyle, but I guess that is a bit of an inconvenience for her, so we probably should have a little pity. One of the things I deal with, she says, one of the things I deal with in our legislature, I tried to introduce a bill last year that would notify parents, schools had to let parents know what clubs their students were involved in. Well, actually, Sally Kern is famous for introducing legislation specifically targeted against the gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender community. If we let her and others like her continue, where will it end? Once they have us rounded up in camps, who's next? Muslims, Jews, blacks? Where does it all end? And haven't we seen all this before? She says, and the reason I did that bill primarily was this. We had the Gay Straight Alliance coming into our schools. Kids are getting involved in these groups. Their lives are being ruined. Their parents don't even know about it. So I introduced a bill that said you have to notify all clubs and things. And one of my colleagues said, well, we don't have a gay problem in my community. That's why I voted against the bill. So what exactly is Sally Kern arguing against? To disallow groups that promote tolerance among teenagers? These groups are not aimed at making anyone gay or lesbians. It's only about tolerance and a breaking down of hate. These very same groups that could lower the very suicide rates and shorter lifespans that she lamented earlier in her speech. Well, you know what, she says. To me, that is so dumb. If you have got cancer or something in your little toe, do you say, well, I'm just going to forget about it because the rest of you is fine? It spreads, okay? So now gay people are cancer. Oh, but no, she's not gay bashing. This is not hateful speech. I think if you really listen to what Sally Kern has to say, then it becomes very clear where the cancer lies. Hate is a cancer that festers until it erupts and turns to violence. Look at all the horrible, horrible massacres occurring in our public school system, on university systems, in shopping malls, increasing amounts, more and more often, more and more victims. Where does it begin? It begins with people like Sally Kern. And she goes on in her final line to say, and this stuff is deadly and is spreading and it will destroy our young people. It will destroy this nation. Well, Sally Kern, I have to say, I think people in glass houses ought not to throw stones, don't you? So, my point here in refuting Sally Kern's little speech, point by point, is not to create more divisiveness, hate, or any kind of action against her, except to let her know that we are listening and we are out here and we do hear and we don't agree and we also have a voice. She is entitled to her speech, her right of private speech, but so are we. And I think it's important that we refute these things intelligently and coherently, and not to continue the chain of pain created by spreading hate and divisiveness or threats or anything like that. You want to act against Sally Kern, well, let her know, and let your legislature know, and let your government know that you don't agree with this kind of talk, and leave it at that. And then, next time you go to the ballot box, do go to the ballot box, make sure you vote accordingly. That is your democratic right. Just like it's her right to say what you want, it's your right to vote as you want. And I don't care what party they belong to. If they're spreading hate and lies, they have no place in government on any level. That's my opinion. My right to free speech. Your right is you have your right to disagree with me. Fine, I don't care. I've said it now, and it's the end of the discussion as far as I'm concerned. I really want to go back to what I'm just normally doing, and I hope you've listened. Thank you, and thank you very much. God bless America and Sally Kern.